You know what you never see? A Korean guy with freckles and a big hook nose. I wonder, when we pick up the telephone, does each of us get his own individual dial tone? Or is there just one system-wide master dial tone that each of us jumps on and off when we need it? These things eat at me. If a safe is unlocked, is it still a safe? Here's an optical illusion you can try at home. Take a pencil and make a small black dot in the middle of an ordinary piece of paper. Cover your left eye and stare at the dot from a distance of about 2 inches. You will see the Battle of Chancellorsville. If you don't, check the paper. Or maybe you made the dot wrong. Just because you don't have a lot of money to spend is no reason you shouldn't spend what little you have. You know what would be a good promotional idea for a singles bar? Date Rape Friday. Drinks half price, free GHB, free Plan B pills, free RU-486 morning after pills, free rape counseling, and generous rebate coupons for an abortion clinic. That takes care of attracting the men. I'm still working on how to get some women to show up. I had no shoes and I felt sorry for myself, until I met a man with no feet. I took his shoes. Now I feel better. You know what would have been a smart thing to do in these developing countries that need electricity? To have tried large-scale experiments with alternative energy sources, solar, wind, geothermal, etc. We could have tested and tried to perfect these technologies on a large scale in places that need it. That would have been smart. That's why we didn't do it. You know what you never see? A really good-looking homeless couple. I always wondered if the Library of Congress provides books in their public toilets to promote reading. I should think they wouldn't want to pass up a captive audience like that. Here's a generic joke. A person goes into a place and says something to another person. The second person says something back to the first person, who listens to that and then says something back to the second person. The thing he says back is really funny. Stick around, folks. China's gonna win it all. True fact. In Moscow, there's a professional entertainer who is described as a Hitler impersonator. Showbiz. Get one now. Everybody has one. They're almost gone. New, super deluxe, jumbo, handy, portable, lightweight, convenient, collapsible, pre-wrapped, easy to use, guaranteed available in all sizes and designer colors. Get one now. Won't rust, tarnish, blister, crack, or peel, but it will cause tumors. I think the safety instructions that airline flight attendants deliver before departure could be greatly improved if they were simply a bit more honest and complete. They should include graphic descriptions, accompanied by animated and live-action video, of the devastating physical damage done to the human body during a crash. They should cite examples of various anatomical mutilations. They should also include a detailed description of the damage done to the lungs and skin by fire and smoke inhalation to demonstrate that surviving the impact of the crash alone is not always sufficient. People deserve the truth. Then, how about a more relaxed, breezy pre-flight announcement, done in the cadences of young people? Hi, listen, we'll be leaving soon. Then we're going to fly a while and get there, possibly this afternoon, okay? Later on, we'll chow down, have some brews, and maybe catch a movie, okay? And hey, try not to ring your bell a lot and wake us up, unless something really scary is going on, okay? Thanks. Oh, and by the way, the captain says do that thing with the belts. Ladies and gentlemen, we're leveling off at our cruising altitude. That means the cockpit crew will soon be lighting up and enjoying a few hits of something really nice we picked up in Hawaii. After about 6 hits, they're going to turn off the autopilot, take their hands off the controls, and let the plane do whatever it wants for a couple of minutes. The captain suggests you keep your seatbelts fastened during this period unless you have a strong appetite for blunt trauma. The captain has just turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. He didn't mean to, but the joint he was smoking fell in his lap, and when he jumped up, his head hit the switch. The captain has turned off the seatbelt sign, but he cautions you to stay alert, as sometimes these planes don't work as well as we'd like them to. The captain has just turned the seatbelt sign on again. Of course, he also stuffed a pound of walnuts up his nose, one by one, so you can decide for yourselves what you want to do about the belts. The pilots who give announcements from the cockpit while you're flying vary. They're not all the same. A socially responsible pilot might say, "On your right you will see Las Vegas, where millions of visitors are fleeced out of their hard-earned money each year by huge impersonal hotels originally built by brutal criminal syndicates and now owned by brutal criminal corporations. These large impersonal hotels have no concern for service or quality, but merely wish to generate more gambling activity because the advantage is heavily weighted toward the house. Whores and drugs are available at all hours." Poetic pilot. Off to your right you'll see the Colorado River as it snakes its way carefully through the ancient multicolored walls of the Grand Canyon, echoing mutely the dreams and disappointments of countless generations of red-skinned people who inhabited the great Southwest. Here's an interesting pilot. "There's the house where John Gacy lived. If you look carefully in his backyard, you can see the top of the chute where he dropped the bodies of the 26 children he killed. Over on the right, we'll soon be coming up to the gas station where Ted Bundy picked up his 23rd victim. Altogether, he's thought to have killed between 36 and 50 young women, almost all of whom parted their hair in the middle." A political pilot. Most of the farms you see used to belong to small farmers, but their land has been brutally repossessed by the greedy, grasping bankers, only to be bought up by huge agribusiness corporations who poison the land and produce tasteless food. These corporations receive billions of dollars a year from the taxpayers for no good reason, except to enhance their wealth. Here's a pilot with the blues. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've been feeling kind of depressed lately. And I think you'll agree. We all share guilt for the world's suffering and deteriorating condition. Sometimes I ask myself, is it all worthwhile? Quite often I give up hope completely and try to think of interesting ways of killing myself that would get my name on television." Then we hear the sounds of a struggle in the cockpit. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have just begun our gradual descent into the Indianapolis area, a descent similar in many ways to the gradual slide of the United States from a first-class world leader to an aggressive third-rate debtor nation of overweight slobs, undereducated slob children, and aimless elderly people who can't afford to buy medicine. The current conditions in Indianapolis, temperature 61 degrees, partly cloudy skies, winds from the southwest, and intense Midwestern boredom." Now listen, I gotta tell you something, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat this because it is what it is, but boy, oh boy, am I getting tired of this handicap business. Aren't you? Huh? Don't you think this handicap shit has gone far enough? And I'm like you, folks. Normally I would feel sympathy for these people, but the first thing they tell you is they don't want sympathy. You ever hear them say that? "I don't want your sympathy." And I say, fine, fuck you, no sympathy. And by the way, if there are any handicapped people hearing this, I'm not talking about you, all right? I'm talking about the other handicapped people, the ones who'll never hear this. So don't get all excited and start rolling around causing trouble in your electric go-kart or whatever the fuck it is. Calm down. I'm on your side. And just to show you my heart's in the right place, I'm going to start out by mentioning a few of the positive things about the handicapped, okay? First of all, the big blue parking spaces. This was a great idea. I think most people would agree. Those spaces come in mighty handy, which is where the word handicapped came from in the first place. A lot of people don't know that. They're always right near the entrance to the store or the building, and I find that I can get in and out of the place in a hurry and complete my business with a minimum of delay. Another handicap feature I enjoy are the extra-large toilet stalls in public restrooms. Once again, an excellent idea. There's so much room in there to spread out. It's like a gymnasium. I can do some push-ups, work on my kickboxing, try out a few dance steps. Occasionally I bring a picnic lunch. Nothing fancy, just a small salad, a bit of cheese, and perhaps a delicate Bordeaux. I find that once you're locked in there, you can pretty much do what you want. About the only limitations might be common decency and a sensible regard for personal safety. One time I had a few friends over and we played cards all night. The good thing was, when one of the players had to take a shit, he didn't have to drop out of the game for several hands. He simply traded places with the guy who was using the toilet as a chair, and it worked out great. I mention all of this because I want you to know I recognize some of the positive things that have grown out of this unfortunate obsession America has with the handicapped. But on this subject I also have a few complaints to make. The main one being this business at the airport of letting the handicapped get on the plane early. I don't like the idea of people boarding ahead of me just because they've had a run of bad luck. Doesn't seem fair. I think if a person's had some bad luck, it should apply across the board to all segments of his life. We shouldn't be going around trying to selectively fix people's bad luck.